May you find happiness and peace, and may your home stand the test of time.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mary. Today I'll be reacting to Charlie debate college students on science versus nature. There's a full video clip, so without further ado, let's get started.
Charlie.
Hi.
So I think this might be more of a point of clarification than a legitimate disagreement. So you started off your talk by saying that you oppose science insofar as it stands in the way of nature or it sort of rewrites nature, right? Is that like an accurate representation of your point? Or
It can cause a lot of damage, and not done under the proper moral framework. It's been one of the great killers of modern humanity. Obvious with, there's been phenomenal breakthroughs in modern medicine, but continue with your question. So.
That was actually my question, actually.
Oh, okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you could take, for example, so let's kind of just go back to how science was administered through things that we take for granted, right? So, for example, Sir Isaac Newton, right? Force equals mass times acceleration. An object at rest will stay at rest. For every action is equal and opposite reaction, right? He was a phenomenal Christian, wrote a lot about biblical prophecy, and looked at nature as a way to explore God's creation for an intended purpose. And so it's all a question of what is the intent, right? So I'll give you a great example. If the intent is to allow human beings to flourish, then I'm all for it. What's an example of that? How about a cesarean section? What an awesome medical breakthrough over the last 100 years. A cesarean section is, of course, a C-section. Without getting too graphic, it's a way through medical intervention and progress to save human life with that intended purpose. Now, obviously, you have to have an incision. You have to be able to, have the proper medication so that, the woman doesn't feel it. It's the most common medical procedure now done in America today. And so I'm all for scientific breakthroughs and progress, but that's with the intent of saving a human life, right? Properly administered, a C-section is life-giving, right? When you look at other things, there is no life-giving nature to abortion. So you look at two very complex surgical procedures. One's an abortion, one's a cesarean section. Both require a doctor, they require, medication, they require breakthroughs, but they have two completely different moral premises. One to give life and one to take life away. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And speaking of abortion, I did have a sort of separate question,
Sure.
if you don't mind. Yeah. So you sort of touched on abortion from a moral or philosophical standpoint in your talk. From a political or cultural standpoint, how do you see the debate playing out in the mid to long term? Who do you think wins in the long term?
That's a smart question. I've given this advice to conservatives, which is you have to be realistic about it. In certain states, in certain areas, it's not a winning issue. Maybe in a longer period of time, we could do our work and we could persuade people. But if you're trying to get political power or win an election, you got to be realistic about whether or not you think that is going to win people over. And so some people say, Charlie, you should talk about the issue all the time. Well, then how are you ever going to get political power to actually fix the issue, right? I mean, at some point, you got to be prudent about this. But I think the left is going to see a surge of support. I think that's going to happen. They're going to see a lot of money come in, a lot more activists. And then I think we as pro-lifers are going to get reorganized, see where we have to go. And I think we have to go on a multi-decade, multi-generation tour, campaign, project of getting into the deep moral and philosophy of it, entertaining questions, doing events. Because here's the one thing I could tell you is that most people that are pro-abortion have really not heard the best defense of life from a moral standpoint, a biological standpoint, and a scientific standpoint. But it's going to be a battle, man. And I think you're going to end up seeing kind of red state, blue state abortion centers across the country where California is poised to make abortion a constitutional right. And you're going to see a lot of that kind of interstate travel and all that kind of stuff. So that's my prediction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I enjoyed this so much, and kind of the first question they asked him, the impact of modern medicine on our life. Modern medicine have done a whole lot of good, especially in Africa. We face a whole lot of malaria in Africa, like, okay, let's say Western Africa, because that is where I am. So I won't speak for the full Africa, but I am O+, and I tend to have malaria almost every 3 months. So every 3 months, I'm always treating malaria. And it's so annoying because, after taking the drugs, your body, your immune system, help you fight it for some time, then it's given to it again. So modern medicine have helped a lot because, now with just how much? Less than $1, I can get malaria drugs and treat myself, and I'm totally fine. I wonder how people do it back then, because malaria has been killing people in Africa for so long, kind of the major sickness we've been battling with, and modern medicine have helped us, battle this. And that's at least a reason why I love modern medicine. I know back then they had solutions or other means of treating it, but I think now it's a bit easy. You just get your drugs, you get your painkiller, and you're good to go. And aside from that, Charlie made mention of cesarean section, and I think cesarean section is something I would encourage women to go into because it makes delivery very, very easy. Yeah, I know you have cuts, in your stomach, but it's kind of a good option, if you're being faced with life and death. I think cesarean section is the best option. I think before you even the doctor start asking you to push, they'll go through your body, check the baby weight, check the mother, if the mother will be able to push the baby. And if they see that there is any complication, they will quickly advise you to go for cesarean section. And I think that is the simplest way of giving birth. It's quite expensive because, I think when my sister was due for delivery, I think she was asked to go for cesarean section, and I was there to sign the undertaking. And I think I was scared at first because that was my sister, and that was our first baby. And I think I just thank God that everything went successfully. But I think that was the easiest childbirth I've seen, because it took less than 10 minutes and they were done. And everything went well. The baby came out healthy, the mother was totally fine, and it's one of the advantage of modern medicine. And I think that is the kind of modern science, and that is something we should appreciate about science. And I think Charlie said his only issue is when science start taking lives. And you see, there is a difference between cesarean section, which gives life, and abortion, which take life away. These are maybe same doctors. You see, the same doctor is trying to bring life through the use of cesarean section, and the same doctor is also taking life due to abortion. And this is a topic that, like, it's the same thing, but one gives and one take. And I think that is where Charlie is drawing the line. He said, no, science, when science affects nature, is not supposed to, like, he's against it. And I agree with him, because I am against anything abortion, because I feel like so long as the baby is there, no matter the way the baby gets into your body, you should give birth to the baby. You see, because based on Charlie's explanation, he said at least 95% of women that got pregnant maybe unknowingly. Like, I mean, the women trying to abort their children, they get pregnant based on just maybe casual sex. They were not expecting it to turn out to be pregnancy, and maybe 5% of them were maybe being raped or something. So the number is very, very few. So if you're standing on what if they were raped and they don't want the baby, the percentage of people that are being raped compared to that of those people that willingly had sex that led to pregnancy are different. Like, the gap is so massive. So you won't judge everything based on I think, well, to me, if the baby is there, just let the baby out. That is just it. And I think when the next question, when the guy was asking what's his view on the abortion and all, what does he think what is the end result, based on I think they were having a debate or something, about this abortion thing. And I feel like just like in Africa, in Nigeria to be precise, we are against transgender. Okay, we are against gay, but not really against transgender. We are against gay. We are against LGBT. So that we are not stopping you from practicing it outside Africa, or outside Nigeria. You may be a Nigerian practicing it outside Nigeria, but so long as you enter into our country, our space, even if you're a Nigerian, you need to act or behave normal. You see, normal means if you're a man, be a man. If you're a woman, be a woman. don't come here and start practicing what we don't accept. And that is we. Okay, so if you are outside the shore of Africa and you feel like you should still stand with abortion and you're pregnant, no one is stopping you from remaining in your country. You can decide to pack, like leave the country, go to somewhere that you feel comfortable and give birth to your child. I think no one is stopping you. And I think that's what Charlie is saying. Charlie said maybe in California you may be allowed. In other parts of of America you might not be allowed. So it's left for people to decide. Do I want to remain here, or do I want to travel to where I'm free to do what I want to do? So it's left for you. There's a brief one coming from Charlie. I enjoyed this and I want to see more videos like this. So if you have any recommendation, let me know in the comment section. If it is your first time visiting the channel, click on the subscribe button. Thanks for watching and remain blessed.